don't love me. And there may be someone else. And as I sit alone here at home, knowing what I should do, I find I can't stay away from you. I can't stay away from you. No, no, I can't stay away from you. No, though I know you're no good, and I'd leave if I would, yet I can't stay away from you.
Because I can talk WWE language. I know that.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. You know that it's time. Listen, so I asked you guys a couple of days ago. One thing we always talk about when it's me and Scopey, we're always talking about who's being booked better, who's being booked badly. So naturally, it just has to be added to the podcast. And you know, we talk a lot, so I'm gonna give my voice a break. I'm gonna give Roki's voice a break. Scopey,
this was on you, man.
Who has been booked? Maybe not the best, but one of the best bookings for you right now. Who's got your eye?
Well, for those who don't know, I'm a huge LA Knight fan. So seeing him in a bloodline feud, I think he's being booked pretty solid. They're kind of like making sure he gets the right wins, and they're putting him in these feuds, giving him time on TV. He's cutting the promos. He's making sure they're making sure that he is looking like their next star, which they should be doing, because he's hot right now. You know, he's white hot. And I think LA Knight is a good selection, right?
Yes.
Seth Rollins, I think he's been booked great. And recently, because of Seth Rollins, I think Shinsuke has been booked better than he has in a while, especially with Rick Boogs going out of commission due to injury and then
him getting released by the company.
Yeah. I really liked that team. They had nice chemistry, but you know, stuff happens and whatever. But yeah, glad Shinsuke got put in a very, very powerful position against Seth Rollins. I legitimately thought that he was going to beat Seth for one of the matches. But yeah, so LA Knight and Seth Rollins have some pretty solid bookings so far for me, at least. And is there a mid category? Like it's kind of like not bad but not good.
We can do mid, we can do sub mid. This is our show.
But rewind on the Shinsuke Nakamura thing. It's actually really cool that they threw him in that kind of feud after him just coming back from an injury, especially after me and Scopey saw him at a dark match after SmackDown one weekend. We saw him. Who'd he fight? LA Knight, was it?
I think it was LA Knight.
It might have been. I can't remember. You'll have to look at the videos because I deleted.
It was before they started pushing LA Knight as a face, because LA Knight was still a heel, you know, whatever. And the crowd, it was in Columbus, Ohio, and the crowd was very nice for that match. They were like, every time LA Knight did something, like they were like, yeah.
So it could have began there. That's right.
Yeah,
he did the LA elbow. It was that was pretty sick. Everybody was saying what everybody's saying.
LA Knight, yeah. So mid booking for me. As much as I love this person, like I've been a fan of this person for a couple years, and I as soon as I say the name of the person, Isaiah's gonna be like, yep, true, valid.
You said Liv Morgan, I swear.
The person who has mid booking to me, which it's not good, but it's not bad. It's kind of like Rhea Ripley. Like,
understandable. Yeah.
It's hard for her. For so long, it was hard for her to have a real challenge after Charlotte was done. And you know, Bianca's out of the picture. She's doing whatever. Becky is on Raw, and I mean
NXT.
Yeah, NXT, and I don't know. They're both on Raw, but whatever. So you know,
just avoiding it.
Yeah, and honestly, Zelina versus Rhea was a good match too in Puerto Rico Backlash, but like I did not think for a second that she was going to win. Like I knew Rhea was going to have a long title reign, which she deserves, but she also deserves better booking and better opponents. which leads me to my bad booking.
Okay.
Bad booking is first and foremost Io Sky, and Isaiah already knows I'm a fan of hers.
Yeah,
for probably a year, maybe. But like, man, they're not really doing her justice. It sounds like what they did with CM Punk with his title reign.
She is a very good professional wrestler. And
she is, and they need, like, they're pushing Charlotte and Asuka, and yes, they're very talented. They're like one of the best wrestlers in the world. But they need to put over the new stars, and Io is. I think she's still like, I think she might be in her mid-30s. Like, she's not too much older than.
So
she's not too much older than Bayley.
And explain to the people how Io Sky became the women's champion.
Well, if you don't know, she was women's Money in the Bank winner, which allowed her to carry around a briefcase containing a contract, which you could cash in on any championship you wanted in the women's division. And she cashed in on Bianca at any time, anywhere, whenever you want. And she cashed it in on Bianca and Charlotte and Asuka's triple threat match, which was a clean finish.
Very good
clean finish. It had a rough.
Yeah, I remember. It was like
most of the match was rough.
My turn type match. Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough most of the match. Like in the very beginning, for like the first 5 minutes of the match, it was great. But after that, it was rough. But the best thing, Io Sky cashing in. She got a huge pop, and I was so happy for her because the Puerto Rico crowd at Backlash really, really, really loved her, and I was like, yes, 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 recognize. So
acknowledge her.
Yes, acknowledge her. But they need to put her over more, man. Like, she feels like she's at the third wheel.
Scope is tribal queen
against Asuka and Charlotte and stuff. Like, we get it. They're established. Io's not really established. Like,
that's the whole point.
Yes, her and Asuka have gone 1-on-1, whether it be in a multi-women match or an actual 1v1. Yeah. But she had to get the win with Bayley's assistance, and she even told Bayley, like, don't come out, like, that was part of the story. But still, like, you need to put her over, man. She's great. Come on. And then the other person I'm gonna say, and then I'll pass the mic to you guys, is freaking, she's not even being booked right now, Xia Li. She's a martial artist. Like, she's won tournaments. She's a champ. She's got the right belts that she needs to be a martial artist. You know what I mean?
I wish they booked her right. Does she wrestle with a style like Shinsuke does? Like,
I don't
more
think
physical
so.
and methodical. And
crazy thing is, you got to go back in time because they barely put her on TV.
Yeah, I mean,
really make a YouTube search.
Yeah, I mean, she can be kind of physical. Like, the last appearance she was in, I believe, was a women's tournament for the women's championship, I think.
But I believe she got knocked out in the first round, if I remember.
No, she survived. It was like a gauntlet match. She survived, I think, 2 women, and then the third was, I think it was Dewdrop.
Did you say?
I hate Dewdrop, bro.
was your comparison AJ Styles for her? You said
Shinsuke.
Oh, Shinsuke. Because I actually feel like AJ might have been, because she has like a little, well, slightly much less athletic. But
AJ is more of a technical wrestler, but WWE likes him being a high flying type.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you go back and watch him in TNA, like, he was a very tactical. Although he did high flying and he did all that crazy shit, he was still, at the end of the day, he was still the bottom of the bar, like, very technical wrestler, like Daniel Bryan and Christopher Daniels, like a very ground type, but he could go to the air if he needed to.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. Anyways, Xia Li, I think if they booked her correctly, she could be put in a good feud for Rhea, with Rhea. Even though she's short, it doesn't matter. Size does not matter. Look at Rey Mysterio. Look at freaking Ricochet. Just book her, bro. Look at her portfolio. She can be believable if you book her right.
You know what I would have done with her? What I would have done differently with and it sucks because, like, now looking back, I wouldn't have done this at the time, but if I knew this is where we were headed with Io Sky, what I would have done with her, I would have instead had Bayley win that Money in the Bank, Bayley win the title, Bayley, because, by the way, that's another person that's been booked pretty badly. have her have the title. And unfortunately, I know it's a stereotypical storyline, but Bailey's the champion, bossing around Io Sky all this time. An eventual build up to a match between them and have Io Sky win that match. If you're going to have her be a third or a second wheel, there was no point of putting the title on her. There was no point of giving her that Money in the Bank win, aside from the moment, I guess. But as far as her being booked and her character development, I don't think it's helped her, because now she's already reached the top. And you see her at the top, and this is what we're getting. It should have been, we reached the top, and now it's Io's era type stuff for the women's division, and we just haven't gotten that. And she has the talent.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, and it's a shame that two of the three people that came to mind for Scopey was the two women's championships, right? The two women's champions. I mean, at least Rhea Ripley's had a place on TV, but her championship run has been pretty subpar when there's no reason, because everything she does has been above, top notch. Like, she's, forget like the women's division, she's been one of the top people to watch on TV in general.
Yes.
So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, you got this 5-way match. Personally, I would have probably broken it up a little bit. I wouldn't have given us all 5 right now. Like, this would have been a perfect
build up to like Survivor Series, and
maybe we'll still get that. But either way, at least finally she's doing something with the title,
Yeah, because she's kind of been the tribal chief of Judgment Day, the unspoken tribal chief.
All of the 5-way thing going on, I know we kind of talked about it in the group chat, but what are your guys' thoughts on Nia Jax coming back and being a part of this story, as well as Adam Pearce stepping into more of a bigger role on Raw and trying to show SmackDown? Trying to show the SmackDown general manager Magnus, who it used to be a star in WWE as well as TNA and a bunch of other of those things, going by his real name. Yes, he was a very good professional wrestler in his own right, but with the brands kind of actually being split now and the rivalries kind of going on, since Adam Pearce isn't being the manager of both shows, how do you think that Raw is going to be able to compete with SmackDown with all of its notoriety and popularity, as well as Nia Jax coming back and being a part of Raw instead of helping out the women's division of SmackDown?
I think it's good, because the thing with Raw being a 3-hour show, which has gotten better over the past couple of weeks, not this past Raw included, because this past Raw is kind of bad in my opinion, but prior to that, we were on a stretch of like, no longer was the 3-hour show feeling like such a drag. Like, there's the beginning, couple matches in between, but most of all, it felt like filler for the most part. We haven't really gotten that much, and I think that's because they've kind of extended the women's division a little bit. Now you're seeing more faces on you had Tegan Nox sometime. You had some, and unfortunately she got hurt. You had Natalia.
I saw Zoe Stark on TV again, which was
Zoe
good.
Stark. You're seeing a lot more of the women's, like we were at a point once upon a time where it was literally like whoever was feuding for the women's title, that was it, and the rest were just like wandering aimlessly.
They just didn't come out. They just didn't exist.
And to be fair, you're kind of seeing that issue a little bit with SmackDown, because when Bianca Belair is not fighting for the title, or when Charlotte's not fighting for the title, they're off TV, So especially Charlotte, Bianca just once recently, but we've seen it with Asuka. She's not fighting for the title, she's disappeared. So it's about extending that women's division a little bit and like using the stars that you have just as much as you will the men's. And it's paying off. Like, it made Raw really feel like, oh shoot, it's already the 3rd hour. Like, damn.
Yeah, I think the way that they could fix all of everybody not being on TV is to just have a tournament for every title in WWE, and possibly bring back like King of the Ring or something, and the winner of the King of the Rings tournaments would be able to go and have a match for the title, kind of like what happened with King Woods. King Woods, he won the King of the Ring tournament. He then fought for the title. He lost, but he went and fought for the title. He gave it his heart. Everybody wanted him to win, cheering him on, New Day style.
By the way, which was a good match.
It was a very good match between.
We saw it live.
It was a very nice match. It was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was the best match of the night, in my opinion. But he didn't win. Everybody was cheering him on. Everybody wanted him to win, but unfortunately, he came up short. So I think that's kind of how they could resolve a bunch of the people not being on TV and trying to increase the ratings after pay-per-views and things like that. Like, maybe have a tournament go on every a couple of weeks in a row on the show, and things like that. Like, there's a lot of different ways they'd be able to book a bunch of superstars on one show.
Yeah, and they also have this one thing that they haven't, that's been terrible within the women's division since its inception, except for a few moments. That women's tag team like we haven't gotten a real women's tag division. Like it's just been like, oh, you two pair up for this.
Yeah, you two can pair up and take on these two women because you both hate them and they both hate you. So just go do your thing.
Like let's get some real women's like tag teams like that stick together and aren't just with it for like this feud,
Yeah, like Damage Control. Damage Control has been around for a little bit, for a while, and maybe a couple of other teams here and there. Like
legit teams.
Back when the Women's Revolution happened. You had like 5 or 6 like 3-woman teams. That would have been a great chance to bring in women's tag titles as well as maybe trios titles that WWE's been talking about for a couple of months now.
And don't be scared to put people like Bianca or Charlotte, like when they're not fighting for the women's title, put them in a tag. Like, why not put them in a tag team? Look, I mean, it's just
Cody and Jay.
Cody and Jay, like that was fun. Like
they didn't hold the titles for too long, but they won. They felt right. They had that funny ass press conference afterwards. That press conference was incredible, bro. I loved that press conference so much.
On there.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get too far from the segment, I gotta ask you, Roki. Okay, so those are the people that came to mind with Scoping. It sparked a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Who else, in your opinion, especially if you could pick like one, and then if you want to throw in the mid guy, like mid booking there as well.
Okay. I don't remember who I said in the group chat, but personally, one of my favorite bookings right now has been Alpha Academy with Otis and Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree and now Akira Tozawa.
Solid.
I think they're making an uprising in WWE. They're creating a lot of entertainment for people, and they're starting to recognize that. And the Shoosh, when they were heels, has became into like the Kurt Angle "you suck" thing as a babyface. Yeah. It's kind of flipped ever since Otis and Tucker broke up. Machinery and Otis was kind of just like floating around the mid card for a while, although he was in some title match for the Elimination Chamber and things like that. He was kind of just floating around with Mandy Rose and doing his own thing. Yeah. And now they paired him with Chad Gable, who has a lot of experience and is an actual like legitimate wrestler.
Yeah,
have this wrestling persona, and he is. Yep. And adding Maxine Dupree in this as another like not really love interest, but like some sort of interest with Otis, as well as bringing in Akira Tozawa to get some more versatility and more comedy, because at the end of the day, they have made Akira Tozawa a very comedic character. Yeah, and it's a very nice thing to have, especially when you're on TV every week. Funny Wrestling for Life, shout out to Simon Miller.
Yes.
But I think that they have been incredibly booked. Chad Gable is on his way to maybe an Intercontinental Championship reign or being included into a very, very sophisticated rivalry with Imperium, especially since he has 2 of his own friends now with Tozawa and Otis. And I think that team as a whole, that group as a whole, is going to ascend to the high mid card or tag team titles, bring those back to relevancy again ever since Sammy and Kevin lost them. They've been kind of floating around too, like you said earlier, with the Jay and Cody type of thing. They've been kind of floating around, so maybe we could get a couple of months of just like actual tag team wrestling. Kind of like what was happening with AEW when they first started. They were all about the tag team wrestling.
I'll tell you what might be interesting. When the time comes, because I'm hoping when, I just don't know when, but for Damian Priest, whenever he does get his hands on that title, if the Judgment Day is still a thing, even given like his first feud, like for example, once he's finally done with Cody and Jay and whoever, hey, why not the Alpha Academy? The Alpha Academy and Chad Gable, give him that push there. It could be fun. Of course, I wouldn't expect Gable to win that match, but just putting him in that situation. And I think,
I totally understand that, because with both of their styles combined, it'd be a very good match with Damian Priest, like not really high flying, but he's a strong style wrestler. Chad Gable's a wrestler, like. Especially with his crazy suplex. Like, did you see him suplex Omos, bro? Like,
did you see him suplex freaking what is his face?
Bronson Reed.
Yeah, Bronson Reed.
Oh my gosh, bro.
The dude's insane. And you know what? You gotta give him his flowers, because when he first came up, like on SmackDown, when they named him Shorty G, that whole thing,
oh, man.
He was always had the talent in the ring, but he was such a bland, like, you could tell, like, he really didn't have no charisma whatsoever. He did this thing You know, he came to the ring. I remember he's like, you know, he did like a little like, you know, the generic Superstar 1 motion that they have.
Yeah. You walk out, you just look over to the left, and you're like, oh, I got here. Oh my God, this is crazy. I'm a wrestler, dude. This is nuts.
It's mic work, although it was limited, it just wasn't it. Compared to where he's at now, like a full 360, like he can cut a promo, and he's already had the, you know, the in-ring skill, and he's found like his like niche, like he has charisma now, you know, and it's crazy. So like this push that you're seeing with him, I think it's just a reflection on how far he's come as a wrestler, you know, and not everybody can. So
Isaiah, me and you have always said that he's like this generation's Kurt Angle. For like we've been saying that for 2 years, bro, and
we're really seeing it right now. Like
ever since I saw Chad Gable as Shorty G, I'm like, things aren't looking good now, brother, but you know, keep your head up. Eventually you're gonna get to the spot where they're gonna let you do what you want, and that's exactly what they're doing with him and Otis. They're just letting them go out there, be themselves, hang out, stick to their roots with the whole shoosh
and the worm, Otis's worm.
And the worm. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. He found his niche, man. So that's a good, you know, shout out, Chad Gary.
So, Rokes, mention in your opinion, who is the worst booked, or you know, who has bad booking right now?
If you want to do a mid, but if you want to go straight.
So I'll go to the mid first. A mid team that has been booked for me at the moment is actually somebody who I mentioned before in the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio. He has held the North American Championship. He lost it and then got it back, but I don't think that they're giving him enough time in the ring to actually develop as a legitimate contender for a bigger title. So they're throwing him in these mid-card matches on NXT to help build his character up and up and up as a heel, but they're not giving him enough time in the ring. Kind of like the same thing that Rhea's been doing. He hasn't had a real like rivalry or contender since his father, Rey Mysterio, at WrestleMania this past year. So I think that they could do better with him, whether it's just putting him in regular matches on Raw or NXT, just like as long as he's doing something every week and getting in the ring and helping develop his character and getting better in the ring, because he's already gotten so much better wrestling 2 or 3 times every 6 months. So I think like on TV or whatever. But if you go back and watch their match between Rey and Dom at WrestleMania, and then go back to his most recent match for the North American title, you're going to see a huge difference in his talent and how much he's grown. Especially behind the scenes, he feels a lot better on the mic, like doing promos. It doesn't feel so scripted when it's coming out of his mouth anymore, because that's something that was going on. But
whenever he can talk, at least.
Yes.
Doesn't get booed out of the freaking arena.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing, though.
I love Dom.
And it's the best thing about it. I love Dominic Mysterio to death. Like, I remember watching that custody for him between Rey and Eddie back in the day, and
you grew up with him, bro.
Yeah, we literally did. Like, that's why I think he carries like a special place. Like, even if he sucks, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna bash him. Like when he first came up, like he, you know, like on the mic, I'm like, but you know, he's young.
Right. It's like, listen, he's still young. He's never done this before. The only time he did this, he was like not even a teenager. He wasn't even 10 years old.
And to be honest, he's really found his character. But I think what you're going for, and I believe this is what you're going for, and I would agree. It's like, what's the ceiling? You know, and I always ask, anytime Scopey and I like have a conversation about any character, Karrion Kross, for example, I'm like, okay, with this gimmick though, like, what's your ceiling? Like, what's the most you're gonna do with this character, and then what's like the after? So,
I really hope that right now Dom isn't at the ceiling with this character. Yeah, I really hope that this isn't it for him, because it is such a good character to have since he hit Edge of the Nuts and then clotheslined his father. I mean, he's been on a tear, bro, and everybody hates him because of it. And the ability to have a father and a son have that dynamic of a duo, to where you backstab him 2 years up to this point and people are still bitching about it, like, that's how you know that you have developed your character well. So I hope that the ceiling goes from here to here with Dominic Mysterio.
At some point, we just got to be able to take him more seriously, like you said, in the ring. Like where he's at right now with the Judgment Day, I think it's fine. But the reason where I would say, like, I would agree with you with it being mid, is because eventually the Judgment Day is not going to be here. There's going to come a time, sorry to say, I know it's sad for some people.
There's already talks about Damian Priest leaving the Judgment Day, and
there's going to be a time, and then
they have Rhea flirting with other people on Raw, bro. Like, what is that?
Hey. It's tactics. Shut your mouth.
So then what happens to Dominic after the Judgment Day? You know, so this is where you need to like establish him at least as a solid mid-tier talent. Like, give him more of the
US title, Intercontinental title.
Let him be a scumbag.
Talent, like the the Eddie Guerrero type thing. He's already got the look for Christ's sakes. Like, I think he has a chance, but yeah, as of right now, I just don't see it. If the Judgment Day gets cut off, Dominic eventually that heat is gonna
he's gonna fall out of the card. He's gonna end up being somebody who's just on Saturday Night Live or like a useless dark match pre-show, and
because by himself, who's he gonna feud with? Like, seriously, that we're gonna be like, oh yeah, like this gonna be
unless like somehow something happens within the Judgment Day where Dominic and Finn or Dominic and Damian end up getting in some sort of rivalry, or JD McDonough, who is now on the Judgment Day. I feel like that could be a nice little rivalry too, especially if it includes something that happens between him and JD and Rhea, or JD screwing Dominic out of a title or something accidentally, and
it's only a matter of time before Rhea turns on Dominic. Only a matter of time.
Listen, hear me out. Two choices, right? This is what I'm thinking. Let him cook real quick before Roki gets onto his badly booked talent. Let me cook real quick. So look,
I'll let you cook.
Chef Scopey.
Tell me what's up.
Whenever, okay, look, like,
can't wait to hear it.
And in these two feuds, Dom could like work on his in-ring skills in the feud, right? Or maybe he feuds after he's better in the ring. But the feuds I'm thinking of, both men have wives in the business, in the same company. Okay. Yeah, I see. Like, what's he about to say?
Are you gonna say Seth Rollins?
That's one of them, right? But the other one is Ricochet. Let Dom be a freaking scumbag. Like, let him do some messed up stuff to their wives. I'm not saying like.
Logan Paul already did that with Samantha Irvin.
If you didn't, did you watch Raw?
Worse.
Scopey, did you watch Raw?
No, but I know. I see that he's paired up with somebody. Dom is paired up with.
No, because if you saw that whole feud, like that whole segment, you might be onto something. I feel like that might be what they're gonna do.
Oh, okay. Well, but anyways, yeah.
Because Rhea and Seth had a talk backstage. Is that what you're referring to, Isaiah?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think also because Ricochet came out in that segment, and Dominic was there, so naturally now they're linked.
Yeah.
Eventually, and then of course. I believe Rhea was checking on Dom because Ricochet punched him in the jaw type shit. So,
funny.
There you go, man. The feud's right there, bro.
Also, since I brought up Logan Paul, hold on. Since I brought up Logan Paul, how do we feel about the Rey Mysterio Logan Paul at Crown Jewel?
Nope, get him out of here.
Okay. How I feel about it is one thing, but what do I think is going to happen is another.
Give me both perspectives.
Logan Paul defeating Rey Mysterio is not what I want to happen. Never in a million dreams. Like, Rey Mysterio is top 5 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. A legend in the business, should not be disrespected like that by his own company.
Hold on. Could you imagine going back to 2016 when Rey Mysterio's in Lucha Underground and Jake and Logan Paul showing dead people on YouTube? Could you imagine walking up to somebody as they're watching that video and be like, that guy's going to be Rey Mysterio for United States Championship in about 6 years?
There's no way, but I think it's going to happen.
You think Logan's going to beat Rey?
For sure. Like, I'm 95% sure.
Oh, don't tell me that, Isaiah. No.
He's going to take it on his podcast. That's going to be extra promotion for the company. Best for business. They're not really doing much with the title anyway. Yeah. Why not just throw it on him? And, Logan Paul gets
have him drop the title at TLC or something, or in a few months.
Maybe even WrestleMania, to be honest. Logan Paul loses LA Knight, perhaps.
I mean, yeah. It depends on what they do with LA Knight up to that point, because right now he's still in a feud with Roman Reigns and stuff. And I guarantee you, with how the Bloodline stories have went after this match, that's not going to be end for the Bloodline in LA Knight. It's going to continue to go and go.
I could see it to go into like maybe January. Maybe even
and a Rumble February. It ends like in December, and then LA Knight declares for the Royal Rumble, and he wins the Rumble, and then fights Roman at Mania. That's a possibility as well.
I feel like to get out of that, because they know if LA Knight is in the Rumble and he doesn't win, it's going to be like 2014 all over again.
Yeah,
It's gonna be out of pay.
So I think instead they might go ahead and put Roman Reigns in a match with LA Knight for the title to avoid him being in the Rumble. I don't know though.
Yeah.
We'll see. We still got a long way to go. Not that long, but we got some time.
Dude, I was gonna say that's only 2 months away, bro.
Yeah, so that might be the way the cop.
3
I don't
months.
think they want LA Knight because if what are you gonna do with him now? He's feuding with Roman Reigns, so if he wins the Rumble, I guess he'll feud with Damian Priest. I'm here for it, and hey, he might win that match. But I don't know what the Drew stuff.
I mean,
it's a little cloudy.
Maybe they have LA Knight beat Roman, and Damian comes out and cashes in, and that'll force that into a weird spot.
I feel
Maybe Jay and Cody come down while Solo Sikoa and Jimmy come out to harass LA Knight, and a bunch of chaos happens, and LA Knight gets maybe a lucky greatest move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll up, and gets the 1-2-3 against Roman Reigns. And out comes Damian Priest in the Judgment Day, who lays waste to everybody outside. Damian cashes in, wins the title, and that'll take us to Monday night. Where
Daniel Bryan type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it, but then where I would say, like, if Roman loses the title, not at WrestleMania, one, I would probably lose my shit. But two, if he doesn't lose it at WrestleMania, he's gonna be like in the mix for the title again. So now that if he loses at WrestleMania, he may very well just disappear for a couple months. But if it's like at a Royal Rumble, he's gonna be around. I don't think he's gonna feud with anybody else than someone who has the title if he doesn't have it himself.
Right.
So
I think it's getting to the point to where everybody wants Roman to lose the title at any cost. Like, they don't care how he loses the title; they just want him to lose the title because they want to see him lose for the title, not because they need to for the business to survive, but they just want to see what would happen if Roman Reigns lost the World Heavyweight title. I think it's something they've been building up for so long. It's been years at this point. They had us at WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes, and they had us earlier this year with Sami Zayn. And you saw the pop that they got when Jimmy and Jay won the tag titles, and you also saw the pop when the Bloodline Civil War happened, and you saw the big pop that happened when Roman got pinned for the first time in like 2,000 days.
Yeah, they're fiending for it.
Everybody's looking forward to it. It just depends on when they shoot the shot to make it happen.
Look, here's what I think. I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania, but I do think there's one person that can cause Roman Reigns to lose his title, and that's The Rock. No, he's not going to defeat Roman Reigns for the title, but if The Rock comes out November, January, he goes to whoever. Nick Khan, I don't know. I know Triple H is creative, but I don't know who would be responsible for getting The Rock in there. And he says, "Hey, I'm good to go for WrestleMania." I could see Roman Reigns losing the title because that match does not need the title. Because if Roman Reigns has the belt and he's facing The Rock at WrestleMania, we know, oh God, he's gonna win again. He's gonna. And
that is a possibility considering The Rock was back like not even a month ago at the moment we're recording this. So, it's very well a possibility.
Yeah.
But bouncing off of that kind of topic now, Isaiah, let's get to your good, the bad, and the mid.
I think did we get your worst?
Give your bad, Roki.
Yeah, what's your worst?
We didn't get my bad? We got my mid. We didn't get my bad. Oh, man.
Slacking.
Dang. Who is someone that...
You don't want me to get to my bad because I got to rant.
Oh no! Yeah, we're gonna skip your bad, bro. We're gonna go straight to the Crown Jewel pay-per-view matches. All right, we're gonna skip it. I'm just messing with you, bro. My bad would probably have to be it's someone in the women's division at the moment, and it's somebody that I think they could really be doing something more with. Okay, it is not a former women's champion, but it is a former women's tag team champion.
Oh.
All right. So looking back at all of the tag team champions, I think we could be doing more with Bayley.
Okay.
We could be doing more with Bayley. I say this because she's the leader of Damage Control. She is the leader of Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, beautiful, amazing wrestler. She's so beautiful in the ring. She's great. She's older, but she's great in the ring. Yeah, she's like 38 or something,
No way.
or 40 something. Yeah,
Dakota Kai?
yeah, she's like in her late 30s, early 40s.
She looks my age, dude.
She's old.
No
Damn.
way. Oh yeah,
Okay.
35. Oh snap. Okay.
But someone I think we could do more with is Bailey. She is a former women's champion, so I got that mixed up. But I just feel like ever since she abandoned the hug gimmick, she's kind of just floated around a little bit. Some main events, some like vacations, injuries, and just a lot of stuff that doesn't really include her. They put her in these rivalries, kind of like with what's going on right now with the whole Bianca and Charlotte and Asuka thing. If they're not fighting for the title, Bailey's not really off TV, but she's not having any meaningful matches. So although she's the leader of this big bad group known as Damage Control, who was being pushed super hard, they haven't really done anything since Dakota Kai and Io Sky lost tag titles, other than Io Sky winning the women's championship. And I think that we could be doing something with that, especially with the women's title being in Damage Control.
We should be doing more.
Exactly.
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I feel like the roles between Io Sky and Bailey should have just been flipped, you know, building to that eventual, you know, explosion for Io Sky. You could have been doing that with Bailey. Right now, it's just lingering. It doesn't even make sense for her character to like not have turned on Io Sky at this point.
I mean,
character doesn't make sense.
Bailey was always somebody who you could look forward to seeing when she had her hug gimmick, and she was friends with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and all those big stars at the time. She kind of just floated in there and was bouncing around between Raw and SmackDown, having some matches and really big matches, and then no matches at all. Like, and then she got injured and came back, and she came back mean. She came back hard. She came back with a new persona. She brought two of her friends up from NXT with her. Like, she gave those two women chances, and she has taught them very well on how stuff runs on the main roster. And now look at where one of them is at now. They have a women's championship because they're that damn good. Yeah. So I think that it all comes down to Bailey could be feuding for a title. It doesn't matter if it's the tag titles or the or Rhea's title. She could be fighting for a title. You know,
she should definitely be up for the tag titles. There's no
time doesn't stay still. Everybody gets older. Bailey's been on the main roster for like 8 years at this point.
Yeah.
And she has only had the women's title twice.
It feels like we've been waiting for her, like, because she's been steady her whole career, but we haven't ever got like that.
We've never seen her ascend to another level.
Yeah.
Like how Charlotte has. Yeah. We haven't seen
We've seen it with Becky when we go to the Four Horsewomen. We've seen it with Sasha to an extent. We've seen it with Charlotte, as you mentioned. So it's just her, like, she's been steady, but it feels like she's always had a potential and just never broke through. So we're still waiting for that moment. And I don't know if we're ever going to get it to like what we thought could have been, you know. Granted, in WWE's defense, there's been a lot of injuries, and I understand that may have gotten in the way. But even
Dakota Kai had an injury, which kind of pushed Damage Control off of TV for a little bit.
It just never really felt like we got that with her, you know. So
yeah. Can I get some honorable mentions? Is that allowed?
Wait.
I'm not gonna speak too much on them.
You know who I'm. Depends. Don't pick my guy, but go ahead.
Honorable mentions for good booking, bad booking, or mid booking.
Honorable mentions for bad booking only. I'm just gonna mention two teams.
Okay.
The team who is formerly NXT Women's Champions, I believe, or NXT Tag Women Champion, I believe is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Oh, big time.
They got called up to the main roster. Had like probably one match, maybe
1 or 2 matches, yeah.
And they've appeared a few times, and that's it. But they're great. All right, that's the one team. Then the other team that got called up is Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Had a solid match for the NXT, or no, not for the women's tag titles against Damage Control. Actually, solid match. They looked believable, looked strong. Drifted off.
Yeah. If we're talking about NXT call-ups right now, what do we think about Indy Hartwell's match that she had on Monday?
Didn't watch it.
The match itself was good. Still got a lot of work to do with her because she was more or less. She did give a little bit of a fight, right? Am I thinking of the right Becky match? Because Becky kind of this match a little bit.
It was for the NXT Women's title.
because Becky kind of dominated a lot of the match. We
I
still
mean,
got a
it's
long
just to
way.
be expected because the
Yeah.
fans don't really know Indy Hartwell that well. They're still trying to feel her out.
That's why I feel like it'll be the perfect time to like give her like a moment of like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, who is this person? Even if she doesn't win, there's a way to make her look strong. I don't
Kind of
think
like what they did with Paige when she first came from NXT to Raw,
Yeah.
and she beat
So-
AJ Lee for the title. Like nobody really knew who she was, and it shocked everybody when she won. They're like, "Holy shit, what do we do now? Oh my god, we didn't expect this," and now everybody loves Paige. Like
be
they just
honest-
didn't expect it, and they kind of fumbled the bag with that title reign. So
Once
I
you-
don't think they wanted to repeat history.
since you brought in the DIY with Gargano and Ciampa, you may as
Yeah.
well just put that thing back together. Get Dexter Lumis in there and Indy Hartwell. Give them some things to do, because otherwise, I can kind of understand why Indy Hartwell hasn't gotten the. There's no
The
excuse for
attention that she deserves.
title, like no TV time, but I understand like it's kind of crowded at the top right now.
Yeah, I think
So-
Indy Hartwell wrestles pretty similarly to Raquel Rodriguez.
Hey, DIY, Candice LeRae,
Mm-hmm.
who the heck are we
Candice
talking
LeRae, Andy Hartwell,
Indy
Johnny
Hartwell.
Gargano, Tommaso
about?
Ciampa.
There's your tag team for the women's division. The DIY
Tag team for the women's division, and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano could go for the SmackDown
and
titles.
Lumis is just
They-
there.
On the topic of the tag titles, can we please, for the love of God, get the Raw and SmackDown tag team championships
Separated.
ununified? Please.
For
Yeah,
real.
Oh my, it has been over 2 years since we have had a Raw tag team title and a SmackDown tag team title. And that is the only championship other than the women's tag team titles that is is not unified, that needs to be on different brands.
They
I feel
booked
like they
themselves
give the
into a
timing-
wall with that one.
Yeah, they get
like-
timing bad all the time.
Yeah, like
Before they,
Like after Survivor Series, I feel like if they just after Survivor Series, if they just put the titles back on their own brands, then it'd be fixed. Especially with the GMs now being on different shows instead of it just being run by one person.
that'd be great.
So
I mean,
maybe
I'm all for
like
it.
a draw happens at Survivor Series, or both teams get disqualified, or something
Yeah,
like that, where the title
what?
would become vacant. You know.
yeah,
Something, man,
Just
because
something,
that's how we
please.
felt about the singles division for the men's. It's like Roman has all the titles, but then
Yeah.
they had a solution. They made a new title. Okay, cool. You can't do that with the tag titles. You
They
gotta
said
split it.
nobody's gonna be Roman, so we're
Here's a new
gonna
title.
make a new title. Yeah, but
Big
here's a new
Flash
title. We're gonna give it to Seth Rollins, and he's never gonna lose it either. So there you go.
for now. anyways,
pretty
it's
much
been
what
long
happened.
enough. It's been long enough. Isaiah, you're good. You're bad. You're mid booking. If you want,
Okay.
go for it. Floor is yours.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the bad. Okay,
Oh,
Okay.
we're gonna
Spicy.
go that route because the Jimmy Uso stuff has been really, really bad.
understandable,
You're-
Luce.
I remember you
Understandable.
talking about this. Yes.
You're taking one of the best, if not the greatest storyline of all time with this bloodline storyline, and you just confused the heck out of everybody with the
You just throw
Jimmy.
him right back in it.
He's the reason why they turned against Roman Reigns, him and Jay, and then he comes back and then he turns on Jay. Okay, I could kind of get it. I didn't like it, but I was okay. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy was jealous that he was in Jay's shadow, and main event Jay Uso, and there was no main event Jimmy Uso.
didn't
Like I
it,
understand
but
that part.
I wasn't too okay. I get it, but then okay, now Jey Uso's on Raw, which that kind of at the time. I mean, I like what's happening on Raw, but for the storyline itself, it didn't really make a ton of
It was a little
sense in
too
a way.
soon.
Especially when like, hey, Jimmy just turned on him. I understand they're trying to probably prolong it till WrestleMania, but since then you've had Jimmy Uso. Now he suddenly wants to go back into the bloodline. You have him almost as a comedic character all of a sudden. I thought he was going to at least be something like taken more seriously to an extent. He's been booked like a goof. Like he's it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. I mean,
Last I checked, his name's not R-Truth.
yeah, like they booked him like R-Truth basically. Like
I mean, that's a bad booking too. R-Truth, isn't he injured though?
yeah, he's hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been slandered for many years at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's like 56, bro.
Yeah,
he's
50
old.
years, but it's over. But like that's another conversation because in 2011 when he turned heel, they should have done a lot more with him. But anyway, that's all another story.
I mean, he did throw a cup in a guy's face and then run away.
Who cares? MJF, He's probably gonna
got it. MJF got it from R-Truth. What are you
doing? So definitely Jimmy Uso. Terrible.
Take a pickle. Take a pickle. Come here, dipshit. Take a pickle.
No excuse. No excuse right now. Jimmy Uso should at very least, if you were gonna have him join the Bloodline again, he should be as he was before, like, you know, really a serious character, not someone that's just confused. Oh, and then he's trying to become the tribal chief again or something. I don't like he's
I was saying, yeah. What if they bamboozle us all, and instead of having Jay or LA Knight or somebody like that beat Roman Reigns, if they have Jimmy beat Roman Reigns,
dude, I would lose.
That would be insane. All of this like bad booking, to your words, bad booking, just to build it up and have Jimmy beat Roman at Mania. Like, if that is the end of the story, how crazy would that be? If it was all a ruse and he betrayed Jay and came back to the Bloodline so he could beat Roman Reigns at Mania.
And then I don't know if Scobie watched SmackDown. I don't know if it was this SmackDown or the SmackDown prior. You know, you had Jimmy Uso lost the match, right? And Roman Reigns coming back, so I'm expecting, okay, let's see what happens. And Roman Reigns just like, hey, dude, get off my couch. Are you with us? Okay. 5, go handle your business. Like nothing.
I saw that. He acted like I kind of like that dynamic because it's kind of funny. It's like he's a dad to his cousins.
It was funny. It just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either. I just think the whole Bloodline stuff now isn't like as captivating as it was like half a year ago to a year.
And I think what's happening. Yeah, I think what's happening. They're just trying to prolong it to WrestleMania. So this is just like trying to extend it, but this ain't the way to do it. At the very least, have Jimmy Uso reestablish himself in the Bloodline by winning matches, by doing what he has to do. Let him be a real factor in this LA Knight feud with Roman Reigns. But it's kind of like you got to repair Jimmy Uso's character all of a sudden, in my opinion. Like you got to repair him. You got to have him reestablish himself somehow. Like maybe with you remember when Jey Uso when he turned heel for the first time. He's, I love you too. And he beat the holy, out of Daniel Bryan. Something like that happened to Jimmy Uso right now. Because otherwise, it's just like it's not looking good. It's not looking good. All right. So then we're gonna go to the best booked, in my opinion. Okay. I think they've done such a great job with Gunther in his title reign. Yeah. He's beaten the proper opponents. Like you've had him his big moments, and then you also have him not as a stereotypical heel. Like he's not really a screamy, cheating heel. The matches he's winning fair and square. He just
goes out there and kicks your ass like that.
Literally, and eventually he's gonna, I could see him turning face, and not changing his character whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the type of like booking you want, where there's a guy that doesn't necessarily need the title. Like he's just in there fighting, like Sheamus on steroids.
Like, dude, Gunther's matches are always really good. It doesn't matter the match that he's in. You're gonna sit there and watch it. If you turn on the TV and you're a wrestling fan and you see Gunther fighting anybody, you're gonna leave it on Raw. You're not gonna change it unless it goes to commercial.
And then he's elevating guys along the way. Exactly. Bronson Reed looked like a superstar on Monday.
I have not seen that.
He made Chad Gable look like a formidable opponent.
Yes,
as he should.
I think Gunther is just at the moment. I think the IC title could be a replacement for Seth Rollins' world heavyweight title, because Seth Rollins' title defenses haven't really been very good. Other than the Shinsuke match, none of his matches have felt like they've raised the bar. He's just there. Gunther isn't even really on TV that much. And when you see his graphic pop up on the screen, you're like, oh shit, Gunther is fighting Bronson Reed next week for the IC title. I need to make time to sit down and watch this. Because Gunther is that good.
Plus, if you already had people like a few months ago talking about, Imperium versus Bloodline, let's do it. You got somebody special.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been a fan of Gunther back when he was Walter.
Mm-hmm.
And on
even
NXT.
Before NXT, I watched him even before he was in NXT.
I didn't know he had a career outside of NXT. I don't really look into people like that, but that's great.
I also really just want to shout out Gunther for his massive body transformation coming from NXT to Raw. 100%. I saw him and I was like, wait, is that Walter? And I was like, oh my god, it is. I saw him chop somebody. I was like, that's definitely Walter.
It's
like,
Gunther now.
Gunther with a big chop in the corner. I'm like, who the hell's Gunther? Is that Gunther? That's Gunther.